Honorable respected ulama kiram, dear huffaz who are getting ready and anxious to lead us in Taraweeh, our respected elders, mothers and sisters, As-Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is, you can feel the buzz of Ramadan is here. There's some sort of, you can feel something in the air. Besides all the supermarkets advertising the dates and everything. And please check the label. Friends of Al-Aqsa have that campaign called Check the Label, where it's coming from. Otherwise, that same dates that you are eating have been stolen from Muslims, and then you are taking that for what? Your iftar. Mustn't be that we do that. So make sure you check the label. Don't look for the cheapest. You are not just having a meal, you are opening your fast. So when you're opening your fast, what do you want to do? You want to have the best. Allah Ta'ala tells us in the second juz that when you eat that which is pure. And pure doesn't mean just the food in itself is pure, but the income, which is so important, has to be pure. The item you are purchasing is of a pure nature. So where it goes back to its roots, that it is pure. So someone is benefiting from there, and that someone obviously shouldn't be someone that is oppressing our brothers and sisters around the world, inshallah. So this night of Bara'ah is the correct word. For those of you who weren't here when I mentioned it on Friday, many of our Guji brothers and sisters, they like Shab-e Barat. Shab-e Barat is your wedding night. Shab-e Barat is wedding night, because you got a ta on there. That is why sometimes when the Huffaz are leading us in Taraweeh, you might hear them recite an ayah, something that you are familiar with, and then they repeat that ayah, and you think, someone corrects them. And they repeat that ayah, and you think in yourself, but he read that correctly. But instead of qaf, he might have said kaf. Instead of ta, he might have said pa. And what that does is change the whole meaning. So Barat is your wedding night. For those of you who have had yours, by whatever you had, you had. Those that are still going to have it, inshallah, you have a good one. Make sure you wake up for Fajr. And Bara'ah is freedom, emancipation. And why this is mentioned is because we find there are lots of ahadith. And if you look at it, even the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam going to the graveyard, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't even tell Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, this is where I'm going. He waited, he thought she's sleeping, and then he went to the qabristan. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam tells us, Allah Ta'ala wants ease for us. So when you have to read your 5 times daily salah, it's supposed to be easy for you. If you are struggling to read your salah, then maybe we're not doing something right. So tonight is a night of Bara'ah. Certain hadith mention that tonight is a night, and hence all the forwards that you've been getting today. If I've done anything, please forgive me. Many people send this and they mean it genuinely from the bottom of their hearts. And there's 4 quick points that I want to make. I don't want to keep you here long. Then tonight's ibadah, if anything, should be something infiradi, something that you do on an individual level, not ijtima'i, something that we do on a collective level. So this few minutes we'll sit together. This is just advice, nasiha for you and me, inshallah. We hope that we can benefit in that, inshallah. First thing is that, as I've mentioned, this night you want to worship Allah as much as you can yourself, but that too, it's got to be done in such a way where you are remembering Allah, your connection with Allah is getting stronger, and you are asking Allah for forgiveness, you are trying to gain proximity to Allah. However, at the same time, not bringing about, you travel around the world, and you'll find some people do some crazy things on some nights. Some people do they say, on this night, not specifically tonight, if it's another night, they will say, on this night, if you do such and such thing, then such and such thing will happen. If you do something else, then something else will happen. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allah Ta'ala save us and protect us. But the crazy things, up to the extent of even fireworks. Some communities on a so-called big night, they let off fireworks. You heard of that? Anyone heard of that? Yeah, I've seen some people agree. Yeah, so at least you know I'm not making bakwas here. Number 2, tomorrow's fast. Is it sunnah? No, it isn't. But is it the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to fast as much as possible in the month of Sha'ban? Yes. But the intention you make tomorrow depends. If you fast ayyam bid, what is known as the white days, 13, 14, 15, then it's sunnah. If you fasted today, because it's a Monday, it's a sunnah. Yeah. But tomorrow's fast, if you are not fasting 13, 14, 15, that means you didn't fast yesterday, you didn't fast today, but you are only fasting tomorrow, then that is a nafal, it's a mustahab, it is an optional, it's a praiseworthy action. Yeah? But don't say, I'm doing a sunnah. And then someone in your house is not doing it, or someone you know at work. Not doing it, now you say, oh, astaghfirullah, you left out such a big sunnah. You know how much guna you're going to get, you know what's going to happen. Allahu Akbar Kabira. We try to do to the best of our ability for ourselves. Do not look at someone, tomorrow you see another person, maybe he's got a big topi and a big dari and a big kurta, and you see they're drinking water and you say, oh, look at this Hazrat, he's not keeping a fast. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But rather it is for ourselves, our connection. This is what we're doing it for, inshallah. Number 3, tonight ask Allah for forgiveness for your sins. Everyone is a sinner. We may sin differently, but we're all sinners. Minor sins, major sins. We know what sins we commit. Some sins that only we and Allah knows. Not even our parents know. Not even our siblings know. Not even our spouses know. Not even our children know. No one knows except you and Allah. Even those sins, ask Allah for forgiveness. Ya Allah, you have granted me the protection from other people knowing about my shortcomings. You know what an honor that is? That Allah has covered your faults. Yeah, but that's something that is between you and Allah. If it is something between you and another person. And one of the things mentioned in the hadith is that on this night, certain people are not forgiven. Allah protect us. Certain people are not forgiven. Who are these certain people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam makes mention. They are those that have enmity in their hearts. You have dislike towards someone. Sometimes we just dislike someone because we dislike them. We haven't even got a valid reason. We just dislike them. Maybe because of their looks. Maybe because the car they drive. Maybe because their wife is prettier than yours. Maybe because they got more wealth than you have. Maybe because nothing. Remove that enmity, and it is a sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to not have enmity in our hearts. Yeah? Allah protect us. Another one of those are those who break relationships. Yeah? Those who break relationships. You break a relationship, especially with family members, then Allah is not going to forgive you. So what do you do now? One side you got your pride, the other side you want forgiveness. Remove the pride. Remove the pride. Someone has done you wrong, you're not speaking to them and they're not speaking to you. Be the bigger person. Pick up the phone, ask for forgiveness. Although you know you are not in the wrong, ask for forgiveness. That will make you a better person. Believe you me, you will feel lightness in your heart. If you do it genuinely from the bottom of your heart, you will feel some consolation in your heart. Allah will give you that. This is one of the ways that we can achieve some tranquility and peace that we want. by removing whatever filth is in our hearts. May Allah make it easy for us. Others that are mentioned are those that consume alcohol, intoxicants. Another one, and this is one some people say, so what man, it's not such a big thing, I'm not doing it out of pride. But the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, is his word wrong? Can his words be wrong? Can there even be the slightest iota of doubt? But he says, what does he say? The person who wears their trousers below their ankles, Allah will not accept their forgiveness. If we do this, if we've been doing this, let us stop now. Make this niyat now. Some people may laugh at you. Yeah? For our dear children in school, they may say, oh, you're wearing jack-ups. I remember that's what they used to say to us when we were kids. Anyone remember that? You're wearing jack-ups and flares. You remember the days of flares and the big wings? That's how old I am. You see, most of you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. Because where there's the pleasure of Allah and the displeasure of mankind, that is fine. But where there is the displeasure of Allah and the pleasure of mankind, then we are asking for trouble. May Allah save us. And two people who quarrel, if they don't make peace, as I've mentioned, this is so important. Today we have arguments over silly things, over petty things, because of our pride or our arrogance or our wealth or our knowledge or whatever it may be. That is something that can stop the mercy of Allah coming upon us. Sometimes we're complaining, why have I got this problem and that problem and that problem and that problem, and it's just never ending. But then we forget to realize that, you know what, sometimes we invite it upon ourselves. My brothers and those that are listening, my sisters also, and just today I came across another article in Hatay, on the coastal area of Hatay in Turkey. Because of the tremors and aftershocks that they're having, some records say 8,700 aftershocks they've had. Today is 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, how many? Other records say 9,000 aftershocks and many earthquakes they've had. 9,000. One brother today, he was near a wall when there was a slight aftershock, a minor tremor. The wall collapsed on him. Alhamdulillah, he got saved. People around him helped him. I tell you, you know what? Even if you've seen hundreds of videos, even if you've seen hundreds of photos of what has happened in Turkey and Syria, Wallahi al-Azim, what I saw with my eyes, and for anyone here been? Anyone? No one? We have 3 weeks left. No? 2.5 weeks left till Ramadan. If you can make a plan, even if it's for 3 days, go there, visit the place and come back. It's changed my whole perspective on a lot of things. When you go to a place, Nur Daga, one of the first places, as we came from the airport in Gaziantep, heading towards Rehandi, I won't lie to you, there wasn't 1 or 2 houses down. There was not a few buildings that had collapsed. Entire streets were destroyed. Entire streets, there was no sign of a home. Roofs that were 4 times this height. So this is about the height of 2 floors. 4 times this is about 8 floors. The roof was lower than this ceiling here. That's how it had come down. People were still buried inside. People like you and me. People that were young, people that were old, people that were businessmen and businesswomen, and educated people and uneducated people, and young innocent children and elderly people. All of them were hit. All of them. Allah didn't say, oh, this person is very pious, let's save them. Illa mashallah. How many people have been pulled out as time has gone by, and when we came back, When we came back, they were saying, and that was, when was it, 2 weeks ago I came back, they were saying now we are stopping the search for survivors. Now it's a matter of slowly pulling out all the marhumeen. Within 45 seconds or 60 seconds, or let's say even 90 seconds, 6 million people became homeless. How many? 6 million people became homeless. 6 million people that had a home, whatever kind of home it was. So many of them lost their family members. Moulana Zakaria and the team that went from Aliyana charity and Saiban charity and a few other people that joined them, they were saying when they got to Noordaga, they came to a roundabout, they saw 3 children sitting there. And they thought, let's go and speak to them. And they went and spoke to them. They said, where are your parents? They didn't say anything at first. They asked again. Eventually they said, look, father is gone that side. Where's your mother? They became emotional. They became distressed. Their mother had passed away. All of these children, probably not older than 12 years old. They will grow up without their mother. A grandfather, I'll tell you my story. We go into Rehani Hospital. There's a doctor there who took out his own time. He went to the head first and he asked permission. There are some visitors here from Britain, that have come to see the people that are in the hospital. Do you give permission for them to come in? As he told us, he said, are you going to take photos and videos? We said, no. I said, we had some big shot guy came from a certain country, let's leave it at that. And he said, I'll give you lots of money and I'll give the hospital money as well as the patients. But you must allow me to take photos. They turned him away. The only person in our team was one person that took photos from the back, and that was discreetly of the building itself. The building had such severe damage, Rehani Hospital. Once his doctor got permission for himself, for us, he then asked for permission if he can take out a bit of time to take us to introduce us to some of the people. The first couple we meet, a husband and wife. Husband is pushing his wife on a wheelchair. Her arm from here doesn't exist. She's just lost. You look at her, she sort of glimpsed in our direction, and then she was just lost in thought. The man says, my wife has lost her arm. And then he just suddenly broke down. He just started crying. We're thinking, what's going on? Those of you who have children, think about this. He says, I had 7 children from the age of 6 months to 20 years old. 6 months to 20 years old, 7 children I had. He said, every one of them I've buried because of this earthquake. And it wasn't like the earthquake happened, there's all my kids, took them out, ghusl and janaza, and now says, only after 2 days we found the first 2 children, because we're hunting through the rubble. And you know how dangerous it is. Some of the places we went, we were actually a bit skeptical, are we even safe here? We said, you know what, if we can help someone, why not? Because there were people sitting in the rubble, near the rubble, on top of the rubble, waiting for their family members to be pulled out. He says on the 3rd day, we find 1 child. Only 3 of 7 found. It took 8 days till they had pulled out all 7 children. They had given them ghusl in whatever way they did. And I won't lie to you. Don't let the media deceive you into thinking Hafiz Rajab Tayyip Erdogan is doing a bad job. For those of you that have picked up on the negatives in the media, where they've tried to blame him. He said himself, yes, we were at fault with certain things, but no one can be prepared for something else. I won't lie. We were there a few days after the earthquakes. Places were flooded with tents. In Urdu and in Gujarati, when there's a problem, catastrophe, you use the word afat. You heard the word afat? Yeah. As a matter of fact, in Arabic also, afat. They have a government department called afad. Afad. You can see their tents throughout, wherever we traveled. The police, you know what was their office? On the side of the road, they had a broken table and a couple of broken chairs. That's where they were operating from. We went ahead, we met different people. We met a young man, head to toe, he's got full of injuries. His wife is there, his mother-in-law and father-in-law are there, and he is also just as lost. Asked what happened, he lost both his parents. Now you think about it. You have your parents alive, you have your siblings alive, you have your children alive, you go upset to sleep, you go to sleep upset with them, and an earthquake hits, and tomorrow morning they don't wake up. How are you going to live with it for the rest of your life? So many said, Wallahi Ladhim, absolutely heartbreaking. I cannot explain to you the feelings that you go through. You can feel the fear. We felt Qiyamat there. One of the places in Antakya, we were told by Brother Sarfaraz from One Nation who was with us, he says, last year I came with Mufti Yusuf, also from One Nation. He says, we came here and in the evening we came for a meal in this area. They even showed us. It used to be what was probably a very nice place to eat. He says, then after that we went to an elderly man who's been running the same juice shop for 30 years. All of that was destroyed. While we were there, we climbed up some rubble, and looking at the building where we were standing, more or less, some of you may have seen the Instagram video, we were probably about, the roof was about the height of the 3rd floor, and this was a building that was at least 8 or 9 floors high. It had come down to the height of the 3rd floor. And our buildings are generally, I'm not talking about the new cardboard houses, no insult, but you know what I'm talking about. Even the older houses, they have concrete or brick walls, yes? But in between, you have wood. There it's only concrete slabs. So the slabs have given way and they've all come down like a pancake, like a sandwich. We get to the top, we see 2 young guys, they can't be more than 30, Syrian brothers. One of the brothers that was with us, he was very fluent in Arabic because of his time in Misr, in Egypt. He started speaking to them and they said, you know, until now the digger was working, because we asked, this was the first place we got to on the first day when we arrived. There was no, we have traveled the whole of Saturday night. We get there in early hours of the morning, we've traveled another 3 hours after 2 flights. We get there and there's no rest, it's straight onto the ground. I won't lie to you, when I get tired, I get tired. Allah gave us the strength, Wallahi Ladhi. We get there and we say, why is the digger stopped? We found out that the digger has stopped and moved away for the simple reason that they have found some people down there. Upon further inquiry from these 2 young men, you know what they said? 9 of our family members are buried there, they just found someone now. 9. Others, 8, 10, 18 members of the family. The one place we went to in Syria, we were thinking, are we going to get to go to the beloved land of Sham? Mentioned in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We thought, will we even get to go there? You know, when you get there, it's just a different feeling, honestly. Something, again, I can't explain. So someone asks you, what does a mango taste like? Can you explain the taste? Maybe to a little extent. How do I explain to you the feeling? This place we went to, there was about 6 or 7 tower blocks. 300 people used to live there. 300 had passed away. 70 were still buried in the rubble in front of us. 70 were buried in the rubble in front of us. What I'm trying to highlight, and as one of my colleagues mentioned, because we've been speaking about our experience out there and trying to deal, because it's a mental type of torture to see that kind of death to that level. What I'm trying to explain here, that on this beloved night, and the blessed night of Shab-e Bara'ah, we want Allah's forgiveness. We want Allah's mercy. We are already anticipating the coming of Ramadan and preparing spiritually. The physical preparations, maybe 2 months ago, your freezers were full. But this is now spiritual preparation. But we can't go into Ramadan, into a clean time, with dirty souls. What I'm saying also is that value your family. Value those that love you and those you should love. Sometimes there's more love for a friend than there is for the mother that gave birth to you. Sometimes there is more love for someone else than there is for the father, who Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Ridha Rabbi fi ridha al-walid wa sakhatur Rabbi fi sakhatil walid," that the pleasure of Allah, your Rabb, is in the pleasure of your father. And the displeasure of Allah is in the displeasure of your father. Why, you can sit tonight and make ibadah upon ibadah upon ibadah, but you have hurt your parents' feelings and you haven't asked them for forgiveness, then our ibadah is futile. Understand what I'm saying? Life, wallahi al-azim, we need to value it. There's no guarantee. 4:20 in the morning, at a time when everyone is generally in a deep sleep, because Fajr Salah, while we were there, sunrise was around 6:45, 7 o'clock. So it's nowhere near Fajr time. It's not even Sehri time. It's not Tahajjud time. So everyone is in a deep sleep, illa mashallah. And they don't have a 24/7 kind of life like we have here. 24/7 we have supermarkets that are open. 24/7 we have people that work in these businesses that operate 24/7. Majority of the people work in the day and they sleep in the night, as Allah has designed for us to. And imagine all these people at home. You look at a house and you look at the bunk bed, it looks like it's about to fall. Now you think to yourself, what happened to the children that were sleeping there? We went to the masjid of Habib Najjar. We all read Surah Yasin. On the second page, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى قَالَ, a man came hurriedly from the outskirts of the city telling the people, يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ, O my people, follow these messengers. According to some narrations, his name was Habib Najjar, and in his honor, possibly he is buried there in Turkey, is Masjid Habib Najjar. And some of you may have seen the photo I shared of some people, Wallahi al-Azim, when we met them, it was like these people had such tranquility on their face. You would never say their whole masjid has collapsed. You will not say that the whole area surrounding the masjid has also collapsed. They had tranquility. Wallahi al-Azim, my brothers and my sisters, we were crying. The Turkish and the Syrian people consoled us. They consoled us. I said, why are you crying? Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We went to someone, we say, here's some hot food. They say, you brought me food? Where are you from? Britannia, or Britannia, or Angleterre. That one old man, I felt ashamed, but we had no choice. He grabbed me by the arm and he says, now you have to come in my place, in my little tent, and you have to have tea. They have nothing, but they're willing to give everything. We have everything. Can you imagine if I turn up at anyone's house, 11 o'clock at night, Assalamu alaikum, I came for tea. Yes, bhai. Assalamu alaikum, bhai, open up. I said, Maulvi Sahib, come on man, I got to go work tomorrow, kids got to go school tomorrow. I'm not saying Riyaz bhai will do this. I don't think he would do that. He's a very hospitable man, mashallah. Allah give barakah. But the reality is, if your brother or sister turn up and they live in the same city, I'm not talking about someone from outside. Someone just turns up, or your friend turns up. Assalamu alaikum, what's wrong? You come this time of the night? Yeah, I just came for a cuppa. If you don't kill him, your wife would. Or maybe your wife will say, come on man, maybe he needs some help, he wants to talk. These people have nothing. Wallah, I saw hospitality like I've never seen before. From people who are living in tiny little tents because they can't go inside their house. They're living on the road, on the pavement, depending on the size of the road. They got the electricity on, they're going into the house, but they're mindful, if there's a slight tremor, they run back out. All the doors are kept open, even the windows are kept open. Syria, we had -4. We woke up one morning, the diesel ran out on the heater. First of all, you got to try and sleep inside, it's like sleeping inside a diesel engine. Can you imagine what that's like? Maybe I was complaining too much. Allah said, right, fine, diesel finish for you. So when we woke up Fajr time, subhanallah, ice cold, -4, you can imagine, no double glazing, no central heating, and the worst part, no boiler. For 48 hours we were there, 48 hours, I had 3 minutes of hot water. That was the quickest shower I had. Because it was so cold, the water was hot, I let it run a little bit, just so the floor gets a bit warm. It was still freezing. Every wudu, istinja, is like water from the fridge. Almost ready for, like it's from the freezer. But their hearts, it's something for us to learn. That doesn't matter what you have, don't fear poverty. Don't fear that tomorrow I'm going to become gharib. I'm going to become a pauper because I gave in the path of Allah. This is the month where everyone generally gives, isn't it? Statistics and those in the charity sector will tell you, Muslims gave so many million, and I think this year it's projected to be some crazy figure. MashaAllah, everyone opens up their hearts. What I'm saying is, don't just open up your wallets, open up your hearts, your mind, and that of your families also. Give generously whatever you can within your means. Obviously, don't empty your bank account and then come say to me, Maulana, you said Allah is going to give me barakah, and you know what, now my rent is due, and the bailiff's after me. No, you have to use common sense also. I mean, inshallah, you will see barakah. You will try and become more generous, inshallah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was generous. In the month of Ramadan, he was even more generous, and towards the end, he was extremely generous. Imagine he was so generous that sometimes there's no food left for him to eat. Ya Rasulullah, you gave away our last bit of food. Doesn't matter, Allah will provide. We have to get to that level of iman. But to get there, we have to make some effort, inshallah. And we have to support one another. You see a brother, he's not coming for salah, don't be harsh to him. قُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجُونَ. Speak to them with words of love, with words of affection, like you really feel for him. Like you feel the pain that if he has to go to Jahannam, what's going to happen? How am I going to deal with that? And then you see the harmony that will create in your own life. You'll see the enjoyment in your ibadah. You will see the sense of community that there will be. Inshallah. This month of Ramadan, let us be mindful of one another, our rights towards one another, especially of our family members. Those who we can throw the dirt on very easily. One brother, I was speaking to him a couple of days ago. He's saying, "No, I have a problem. I get angry very quickly." I said, "Okay, fine. But in this field of business you're in, if a customer comes to you, are you going to get mad at him if he does something wrong?" "Nothing major, just a little something wrong." I said, "No." So I said, "But now you can get angry at home, but you can't get angry with the customer. That means you can control your anger. Am I right?" Inshallah, Allah give us muhabbat. Allah give us the love for the ummah like how Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His love was undying for us. He didn't know us, but he cried. He cried for us. He cried tears to the extent it is mentioned his Mubarak beard used to become soaked with tears. His chest used to sound like, when you got a kettle on the boil and what that sound that water makes. Because of his love for us. He didn't want money from us. He didn't want any wealth from us. He just wanted us to go to Jannah. May Allah take us all there. And make lots of dua for our brothers and sisters in Turkey, and especially in Syria, because the aid is really not getting in there. There's no charity people here. If you want to give, there's a green bucket there. Please donate tonight's auspicious night, inshallah, give for them. I'm not speaking as a charity advocate or anything like that tonight. What I'm saying is, while we were there, we saw how little aid is going in. They have to rebuild their entire lives. Elderly people, 60s, 70s, 80s, that are living out on ice-cold floors. And they've lost everything. The one family that we met, sorry, I can go on about this, but I don't intend to, I didn't intend to. In Jinderas we met, one of the first camps we went to. The brother is there. He was living the life that some of you guys dream of. What is that? He had 2 wives. But what happened? When we got there, in a small tent, that tent from here till that door, and from me to, Rashid bhai, just put your hand up, from here to there, and from there like that size tent. How many people? Brother Hussein, this is a brother I met, his 2 wives, all the children from both the wives, his brother, his wife, their children, and their mother, in an area this size. That is their entire living space. These people were into agriculture. They said because of the earthquake, River Asi, that some places is on the Turkish border between Syria and Turkey, a river flows there. They said that spilled into our land, our farm, and our farm got destroyed completely. In one day, we had 2 afats, he said. One was our entire building came down, and in the panic, he says, our 4-month-old baby, I said, like a hero, I said, can I carry the baby? No, 4-month-old baby, how heavy is going to be? Gosh, this kid was on steroids, man, seriously. And I was like, a few minutes later, my arms were pain. He says, this 4-month-old baby, we had, in this panic, can you imagine what sort of panic? In this panic, he says, we completely forgot about the baby. Then someone remembered, and then everyone remembered, and we just got the baby out and the building collapsed. I was mentioning about Qiyamat, the first place that we went to, this fancy area of Antakya. While we were there, we hear a whistle being blown, very loud. Who's the angel that's going to blow the trumpet? Israfil, not Israel. and it's like a piercing sort of whistle. Then we hear stop, 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 and all of a sudden every bit of machinery switches off. Be it cranes, be it diggers, be it the trucks that were there, the janaza vehicles, to the aid that was coming, everyone switched off their vehicle and everyone literally froze. And any person who moved, the officials that were there, you know what they did? They rebuked them, they shouted at them, and they told them, stay still, do not move. My good fortune, my leg suddenly decided I want to pain right now, where I need to sit down. And there's the pavement to where Riyaz Bhai is. And I'm scared to move, but I just saw someone get shouted at. So if I collapse, is it better? Absolute silence. It was eerie. Imagine being surrounded by hundreds of people, but no one is moving, no one is talking. And at that time I happened to be I had phoned my family, my siblings and my mother. I was on a video call, and I told all of them, please mute your phones. Because it was that silent. It was what you may call pin drop silence. Why? Because they heard a noise and everyone waited, and they said, no, there's nothing. You know what a sinking feeling that is? You're waiting 15, I don't know, it felt like forever. 15, 20 minutes, half an hour maybe it was. We were just standing there in absolute silence, not allowed to move. And then you hear that, you know what, they didn't really hear anything. They had specialist equipment that 15 meters into the rubble, they can hear if there's any sound, and they can also pick up heat. 15 meters into rubble. That's the kind of equipment that they had. But in Syria, nothing. So many buildings just collapsed and just sitting there. My brothers, my sisters, again, all these points are just to reiterate my point of forgiveness. Forgive. If someone has done you bad, then use that term and adopt this term. If Allah can forgive, who am I not to forgive? Adopt this, inshallah. You'll be a happier person. I promise you'll be happier. You'll be carrying less burden, less strain on your heart, less unhappiness. When you see that person that you've hurt, or who has hurt you rather, and you know you've forgiven them, Allah will give you some ease in your heart. And if there is something that you haven't made amends, make those amends. It's still 9 o'clock, 10 past 9. Make those phone calls if you need to. Don't feel shy. Don't feel that mera naak kat jayega. What will people say? Who cares what people will say, as long as my Allah is happy with me? وَتُعِزُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَنْ تَشَاءُ بِيَدِهِ. Allah gives honor to whomsoever He wishes, and He can disgrace whomsoever He wishes. May Allah save us. Jazakumullahu khair for your time. Tonight, if you want to make ibadah, make ibadah. But you make sure you get up for Fajr. If it means you go now, you go jump in bed and sleep, but you wake up for Fajr, that is far better, far more superior than you spending the whole night in ibadah and you miss your Fajr Salah. Inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala accept from us. If I have ever done anything, or my family for that matter, my wife, my children, when my marhum father was around, I know you people were very affectionate towards him. But if we've hurt you in any way, I ask you for forgiveness. From my side, my family side, there's nothing to forgive. Allah ke ghar tak maaf hai. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. جزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.